them. Well, Judd Dunning may have an answer to that in his new book, 13.5 Reasons Why Not to Be a Liberal and How to Enlighten Others. He hopes to answer just that. Judd, we probably don't have time for all of them, but why don't you give us a top 2 or 3?
I want to know what the half is.
Okay, you got it. Well, listen, there's 13 reasons. We could have written 1,000. We had to redact it down. We didn't want to create war and peace. There's a lot of reasons not to be a liberal right now. And as far as getting along, our mission is for people to understand conservatism. But for right now, I think until January 20th, the middle is dead. So just try to find some humor and try to stay out of each other's way until this is all over. 13 reasons. Look, we look at the failings of big government. We look at the failings of climate, the climate science. We look at the failings of so many elements of our entitlement nation state. And our half reason, actually, interesting enough, not because it's less important, our half reason is life, because we set life outside of ideology because it's actually so important. And our last chapter is Trump.
So the last chapter is, oh, I'm sorry. I was actually trying to pull you up on Twitter. I just got busted. I followed you, by the way.
Thank you.
So the last paragraph, just the last paragraph has to do with the last chapter with President Trump?
Yeah, we set Trump aside because, look, I love Trump. Trump won. I'm standing with Newsmax 100% that we're going to be victorious here because I understand the legislative process, which you can also look at our book. I encourage people to read this and to get to know, how America actually works. I think that's important in this news bite world that we live in right now. But there's a huge chapter on the Trump achievements. Newsmax, actually, owns Humanics, our publisher. You guys backed us. We're definitely aligned. I mean, I think Trump was the most exciting president since Reagan. We stand for his victory. So you got a long chapter. But we didn't want to make it all about that because ideology is timeless. Individual rights, freedom, family, faith, God, gun rights. All these things we stand with are simple and rational. But sometimes we need to remember to know what we know. And also how to argue right now because people are throwing such, just outright lies at us if you say the same thing,
Yeah, how do you do that? Because you seem like a nice guy, and I'm sure you have friends on both sides of the aisle. So when you're having that conversation, how do you argue with someone that disagrees with you, has the opposite ideas?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you do is you definitely, that noise in the background is people following me on Twitter, so thank you.
One of those is me.
The first thing you do is you let them know that you hear them, and you love gratitude. You got to love America, and you got to have a sense of humor as well. That's so funny. My Twitter's blowing up, so thank you.
Yay.
But gratitude is the key. I mean, if you're grateful, 240 plus years, we've had an amazing experiment, like a Goldilocks zone in the world of freedom, of free speech, of prosperity. If you start with gratitude, you can argue forward and knowing that it's going to rotate. As contentious as this is, it's happened before, and that's our mission. People should fall in love with America, buy our book, keep watching Newsmax, pursue the truth, and don't get lost in the hyperbole of today that we're morally decrepit or broken or racist just for having the other side of the opinion.
What's his handle? What is it?
I actually just did a search at the top of Twitter of Judd Dunning, and it came up. So that's how I followed you.
We're helping you here.
But finally, just quickly, your best advice for people who may be able to travel home for the holidays. You got family members, they don't necessarily agree with you. You don't want to start fighting over the dinner table. What do you think you should do?
Well, I have to repeat this because Sean Spicer was pretty funny on this. Look, if somebody calls us a racist, you just got to jump to something insane. So we're like, okay, well, I'm racist, you're a pedophile, pass the potatoes. I mean, you got to shock them out of the inanity of this whole thing, and then just pivot and get away and find common ground right now. But you can't go into, if somebody repeats the same thing over and over and over again, that doesn't mean it's correct.
All right, at Judd Dunning. Thank you, Mr. Judd Dunning, joining us now. Thank you so much, sir.